Look at those smiling faces. We have today as our trainer, Stephanie Davis. I'm going to go over here real fast. And I'm hitting the wrong buttons right and left. Here we go. Stephanie is a stay-at-home mom. She and her husband Devin there have three little boys, and just looking at those two, you know they're going to be beautiful. And they are just having a ball with their three little treasures. Um, Devin and Stephanie bought their education in July. They got into their first fix and flip within 94 days, and uh, they're now getting ready to start a demo on two more. They're partnering with a multi-unit building in Chicago, and they're putting together a partnership for their fourth flip. She is happy to announce that she is retiring Devin from his job within just the next few weeks, within the next couple of months. And he is wonderfully stepping into the role of a stay-at-home parent together with Stephanie so that she can take over the world. Stephanie, good morning. We're so glad you're with us. Did you come off mute there, Stephanie?
There, is that better?
There, we can hear you. How
Okay,
are you
sorry
doing
about
today?
that. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm actually really, really excited to be here with everyone today. Um, my goodness, it's been the craziest adventure of my life to be part of Renatus, and it's been absolutely the best thing that's ever happened. I want to get started just by kind of telling you what the focus for today is and what I'm hoping everyone will get out of this training. Um, I have had a couple of experiences recently that have helped me to to see past some of the fixed beliefs that I had about myself and really break those down and see how the limiting beliefs that I've carried with me my whole life have really stalled my business and stopped some of my effectiveness. So that's kind of what we're going with today. And let me just tell you about the catalyst that kind of set off this existential crisis that I had. About a month ago, I was sitting down with Mitch Nelson, having a little mentoring session, and he gave me this challenge. And at first, my thought was, well, absolutely, I can do that. He challenged me to make $75,000 by June. And that was a steep order. Like Ron said, we've been in this since July, and I'm 5-star qualified. I've had my first cash paying combo, which is amazing. So far, I've made $10,000 in this business, and that's been in 9 months, 10 months. And so in the next 6 weeks, make $75,000. No problem, right? Anyone can do that. So with my personality, I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's get that done. Meanwhile, in my head, no way, you can't do that. Thinking really not, I was thinking about it was the problem, I guess. So as I was thinking, I started getting into panic mode and I started crisising over what it was going to look like and what that would take and what that would be to make that $75,000. And so immediately, rather than thinking about the positives and about the good things, I went to my defaults, and I'm going to share these because my guess in this is that I'm not the only one who's hit a wall and the only one who's felt like things are too big and overwhelming. So the default stories that I told myself, and these are things from my entire life, fixed beliefs that I've had about myself. And so where I go when I'm in those moments of crisis are, I'm too stupid to get this done. I don't ever finish things. I'm lazy. I'm a faker, or I shouldn't be here, and all of the self-doubt, all of it that there ever was. So within a couple of days, I went from, you bet I can do this, to huge anxiety and self-doubt. So what did I do? In the past, I would have just kind of stopped and, poked about it and tried a little bit to get it done. But for the most part, I would have just slunked away into the background and oh, it didn't work for me. Okay. But with this one, because I recognize the value in what I'm marketing, and because I recognize the change that has already occurred in me, I chose something different, which was awesome. So the first thing I did was mope about for a minute, but then I started to talk to people that I trust and confided in them and let their strength and their belief in me hoist me up in this moment of, I don't feel like I can do this. So I talked to my husband, and as he held me and loved me as I'm a basket case, he told me, not only can you do it, you are doing it. And that was huge for me to recognize that while I'm not at my goal yet, I am doing it. And I loved that. I talked to my cousin, who's my best friend and my best human, and she told me all the great things about myself and, like we do. But then she also helped me to get to the root of some of my issues and some of my fixed beliefs. I talked to Mitch, and Mitch told me more great things about myself. He knows I'm a validator. And another thing he told me, he said, stop it, first of all, and get to work. And then he shared with me a story that his dad told him, just kind of a belief that they had growing up and that his dad shared with him. And his dad said this: if you are happy, the best thing you can do is get to work. If you are sad, the best thing you can do is get to work. If you're angry, get to work. If you're whatever it is, the very best thing you can do is get to work. And that really, really inspired me. The last person that I talked to, I need to give a huge shout out to because he is my bestie and he's amazing. His name is Gavin Sundahl, and if you don't know him, you will soon. He told me that he wants to get into some coaching and stuff, and I was like, well, help me out of this one. And he was amazing. We started talking about past Stephanie and the Stephanie prior to Renatus is a very, very different person than who I am today. The person that I was before Renatus, oh gosh, I didn't really have a voice. I didn't say hard things because it was hard to say things. Like even, hey babe, instead of leaving a cereal bowl on the counter, will you just rinse it off and load it in the dishwasher? Like that was a hard thing that I couldn't say because what if I made somebody mad? So definitely not the person that I am today for any of you who have had conversations with me. And so we talked about how past Stephanie is really hindering my business and getting in the way of what my success gets to be. A quick analogy of kind of like I summed up to Gavin what I was feeling. And it was like I was very, very comfortable in my pool of where I was. And I was starting to get some recognition and like, oh yeah, I'm all that. And then Mitch is like, look at this. And he picked me up and he chucked me into this giant ocean. And he goes, here are all the expectations too. And he threw a rock at me. And I'm sitting there in this giant new pool, not knowing which way is up or down. And I'm holding this rock, trying to stay afloat and not slowly sinking. And so he just looked at me and he goes, well, why are you holding the rock? And I was like, because Mitch gave it to me. And Kevin was like, what would happen if you just let go of the rock? And let's see. Okay, he asked me, why are you holding on to that rock? And what would make treading in this new pool easier? Well, obviously the answer is to let go of the rock. And I'm holding on to it because it's something that I've chosen to hang on to. Mitch didn't actually put any expectations on me. He didn't actually make me hold on to anything. I saw it as he's expecting this from me, and so now I've got to do it and I have to live up to it, but all of my past and everything, I always let people down, and so I can't do this. And so with Gavin, we were sitting in his car and he just said, what happens if you let go? And so we did a little visualization, and I watched the rock sink to the bottom and just into the murky darkness. And it was so freeing to just say, that's not anything that I need to hang on to. And so I let go of the rock, and it was that easy. For me, people's expectations are a huge trigger to put me back in my story. I've always felt, well, I've gotten in the past, I've had several managing positions where I go in and I interview and they put me in the management position, and then I don't do anything with it. And so and all of that feeds into my stories of I don't finish things and I'm too lazy and I'm too dumb to do all these things. So we traced back where some of these feelings were coming from and why I had those as fixed beliefs. And in my family, just a tiny bit of background, in my family, it was a combined family growing up. And so I was the youngest of 8 kids. And then when I was 10, my mom had my little sister and my little brother. So there were 10 of us growing up. And we always did work projects on Saturdays. And I never liked to do them because I would rather be having fun. And so from that young age of trying to sneak out of, hauling buckets of wheat up and down the stairs, and as a 7-year-old, I would sneak off and go and play. And I was told that I was lazy. And so from the time I was this tiny kid, oh, I'm just a lazy person. I don't like to do things because I'm lazy. And getting back to the root of that, well, I'm not a lazy person. I was 7 and I wanted to play. 2 very, very different things. But because I was told that, and because I had that belief about myself, it has greatly inhibited what I've been able to do thus far in my life. So, and then with all of those fixed beliefs and all of those stories that we got, that I have been telling myself, we kind of dug down and got to the bottom of those. And so, the I'm too lazy flowed right into I'm too stupid, and then all of them just kind of tied together, and I never realized just how much I was inhibited by these. In this instance of hitting this wall, past Stephanie would have tried to tell me all the reasons why I'd never accomplished my goals and why I was less than and why other people were more than me. And my question is, why do we listen to that? Why is it that we're so willing to discredit the people around us who tell us that we're wonderful, who believe in us 100%, who see what we do? Why do we discount them so easily, but only listen to the voice in our head? And so let me see. I'm going to try and draw on the screen, but I don't remember how to do that. So maybe we won't do that. I want you to visualize when you first heard the Renatus opportunity and started your real estate careers, there was this great big shining star as your prize. And as we have that prize in mind, it's a straight shot to it. Just climb this mountain and you'll be there. And it's a straight shot. But what I found is that as I go along, it's like a staircase, actually. And so you go walking along and you hit a wall. And that can be any number of things. I was talking about this last week on Wednesday at our class, and Dane said something, Dane Clark. He said that he feels like he's hit these walls anytime he's doing something new. And I don't know if you can relate to this, but for the first time of filling out your Rep C or having your contract accepted, what do I do now? Closing on a property, raising money, finding contractors. The first time you have something go wrong, and so you're going along and you hit these walls and you have to either figure out how to climb up and get on the next level, or you're going to fade away, right? And so once you do it a time or two, once you fill out the Rep C a couple of times, once you send out several offers, as we gain experience and knowledge, things aren't so scary and so hard anymore. And I really love that, because I was just this past week, I was sitting in class filling out like 3 Rep Cs, and there was a brand new student next to me, and she just said, I don't know that I'll ever be able to do that. How do you know? And it was funny because I remember being there. I remember being in that spot of just, I can't be like everyone else. I can't do it like other people have. How do I make this happen? And so, well, this freak out of mine wasn't necessarily because of something new regarding real estate. It was the exact same. I was scared, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know if it was possible. I've seen other people do it, but I don't know if it's going to work for me. And so the cause of that stress was me hitting a wall. And so this is where choice comes in. Did you guys see the quote before Ron shared the money matrix? It said, "Today I will let go of the past that I do not need and create the future that I want." So every day we're at choice. Every day we have a choice to keep going, to stop, to try something new. Every moment of every day we have a choice. And so choice number one for me was to listen and look at my history and succumb to my past, or make a different choice and change my story. I was looking up some quotes last night and things, and this one, it came across that I really like this one. "You must make the choice to take the chance if you want anything to change." You know, how many times have we heard that true greatness and true success lies just outside of comfortable? And anytime we get comfortable, we are stagnant. And so stepping outside of that and stepping into something new is going to be what progresses our business and our lives. And so I listened to several of the books on the Audible account. And one of the ones that I loved was the 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. If you haven't read that, I highly recommend it. It has really, really changed the way I've been doing things. It's as simple. So if you haven't read it, it's as simple as counting down from 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And by the time you hit 1, you are in action. And so past Stephanie would have said 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, look, something else to do, and not really taken committed action. But for me, I'm 5, 4, 3, 2, wanting it all day long and jumping into action, because I do not want to be held captive by past Stephanie anymore. I don't want to be limited by those false beliefs and by the things that have been holding me back. If I succumb and if I settle, then my life will be mediocre, and I am destined for more than mediocre. So it's really funny. I kind of mentioned this, but there's this new person in me that I've never known before, this driven and competitive part of me. I finally understand why people want to climb the corporate ladder and why it's so incredible, but that's never been part of who I am, ever. And so it's been really interesting and terrifying and exciting, but mostly just incredible to see this part of my personality come out and just to see what's going to happen. And so for me, I am making choices. I am actively choosing to not be my history. And that's so empowering. That's so empowering to recognize that just because it's the way that it's always been doesn't mean that it has to be that way. Let's see. So as we stay outside of our comfort zone where our successes lie, we can find more and more ways to improve. You go to Shrek and the layers and the onions and peeling back those layers. Sometimes it's really obvious to see a flaw or something inside of ourselves that, oh, you know what, that's something I might need to work on. But what I found is as I continue in this business, and I haven't even been doing this for a year, so I can't wait to see what happens. But I've found, and as I've hit those walls, I've had to shed some of my fear, some of my false beliefs, and some of the things that I've held with me, because in order to progress closer to my goal and closer to that star and mastery, those things don't go together. I can't believe this about myself and achieve this greatness. They just don't go hand in hand. So I've had to let them go. And what I did is kind of looked at those false beliefs and put them into terms of where I am today. So I let go of the rock. I recognized that a lazy person is not a stay-at-home mom of 3 little boys. They're 6, 4.5, and 2.5. Guys, it's full-time crazy at my house. A lazy person doesn't start a nearly full-time career. My house, while not spotless, definitely is clean. And I a lazy person doesn't cook from scratch, doesn't homeschool, doesn't kick A at her business. And so if I go to bed one night without doing the dishes, that does not mean that I'm lazy. That means that I chose not to do the dishes because I was busy taking over the world all day. So what I did is I changed that limiting belief into a positive affirmation. So instead, anytime I say, or it crosses my mind, I am lazy, I change that to I am active. I am active in my business. I am active physically. I am active with my kids. I am actively taking a role in my life. I am another of the limiting beliefs and how I changed it. I'm not too stupid for anything. Just because someone unkind to me told me for years how stupid I was, it doesn't make it true. In less than 10 months, I have learned enough to get into 5 real estate transactions. I am wise. I am not a faker. If I don't belong, then who does? I may not know it all, but I know people, and I surround myself with those people who do know because I am authentic. Do you see how powerful that is? Can you imagine what it would be like to hear those stories that you have and immediately stop it dead in its tracks and say, no, I am wise. I am authentic. I am active. I am powerful. I am all that in a bag of chips. And really just in the past week or so since I've made those changes and started saying those affirmations, I've been able to do some awesome things. It's been really, really incredible. And so when you find yourself staring at that wall, when you're going in your business, everything's great, and then all of a sudden you run full steam smack dab into that wall, you have a couple of choices. It's enormously high. You look up, and the first thing I want you to do is take a step back and breathe. Feel all the emotions, feel what you're going through, because that's your body's way of communicating, hey, I'm scared, there's a limiting belief. Just take a step back and breathe for a second. Number 2, call on the people who have your back 100%. When I called Mitch, or I actually texted him and I was like, I'm all self-doubty, help please. And he called me and I knew that he had my back. I knew that he believed in me. He wouldn't issue me this challenge if he didn't believe in me. And so kind of like I've mentioned, I was guessing that other people have gone through similar struggles. Surely in this adventure, I'm not the first person who's felt unworthy or like I can't do it. And so I trusted that instinct, and reaching out to Mitch, he's like, oh, if you only knew how many times that's happened to me. And I'm trusting that it won't be the last. And I'm excited that I'm learning these tools and implementing them so that as things happen, I know what to do. So number 1, take a step back and breathe. Number 2, call on the people who have your back 100%. Number 3, and this is the step where it can get a little bit trickier, but evaluate your limiting beliefs, where they come from, and then you get to change the story. My little 7-year-old self wanting to play on the trampoline instead of whatever the work project was, because of that, I held that belief with me. I get to change the story. I get to look back at it now that I have an almost 7-year-old. I get to recognize, no, he's not lazy. He's a kid and he's perfect and wonderful. And so for me, changing that story changes everything. It's a game changer. Number 4, choose affirmations that are the antithesis of what your beliefs are. Make them opposite, make them powerful. And I am statements. I am incredible. I am the most powerful and amazing person. Whatever your affirmation gets to be, that's what's going to be that changes the story. As you say those, they're going to go back to 7-year-old Stephanie and say, I am active. I'm not lazy. I am active and awesome. And then for me, it's step number 5 has been counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, jump into action. And it really is as simple as that. Let go of the rock, get out of your own way, take off the blinders of your limiting beliefs. And as it was so eloquently put by Mitch's dad, just get to work. You can do this. Thank you guys so much for your time today. I am so honored to be here, and I'm excited to hear what we all do. Have a beautiful day. Go and create miracles, because we are all so powerful. Thank you.